how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I am moving to Boulder, so I'm literally like, as you just saw, I'm sitting on a box and you are propped on a box. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
I am moving to Boulder, so I'm literally like, as you just saw, I'm sitting on a box and you are propped on a box.
Yes, perfect. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your running career for people that don't know you. So how did you get started with running? When did you start?
I started running when I was in ninth grade. I played soccer and I had just, for the varsity team, we had to train and just do the cross country races.
Mhm.
So I went to my first cross country race, and the coach was also the track coach, and he saw me warming up and almost immediately saw that I had, I don't know, some kind of talent, I guess, just with the way I was doing my drills. Anyway, I ended up like, I think placing second or third just in that first race, just off of, I don't know, soccer talent, and then or fitness. And from there, got into running, eventually went to college for running, and then have now been a professional track athlete.
So did you start running just for fun, or you had to quit soccer in order to pursue your running
Yeah,
career,
well, so
right?
the for in the beginning it was just, again, for training for soccer. We had to do it. It was part of like the requirements for my
Mhm.
school varsity soccer team. And then I had success in running. So then after, like, by the time I was maybe a junior in high school, I had transitioned. I was still playing soccer, but I was like much more focused on running. Um, but it wasn't until college when I just went all in on being a track athlete.
Is your main event the 800-meter race? Did you say that's your
Yes.
main? Okay.
It's my main event. It's been my main event for a while. Actually, for the past few years, I was doing the 1500, which is more like a mile. But I this year went back to the 800, which is actually kind of rare as you get older. People normally go up. But anyway, I decided to go back to the 8 because I just like had this gut feeling, and I've ended up doing so much better this year than like the past few years in 15. So that's been really cool.
So did they start you out way back when you were first starting? Did they start you out in cross country? Because I know for myself, it was hard at first to figure out what race was my race, like what race I was good at. So they kind of just ran me through everything. I thought I was a 200-meter runner at first, and then it turned out I was more of a miler. So did you start out being an 800-meter runner, or did you do everything?
So yeah, I did cross country, and then in track I kind of did everything. I did more sprints though, so I was doing the 400. I think they started me in the 400. And yeah, I did more sprint stuff, but because I was also doing the cross country, we knew I had a little bit of the like aerobic base. So that's where the idea of doing the 800 was like, and the mile came because we knew I kind of had both the speed and the endurance.
When did you start your professional career?
After college, I wasn't immediately signed with like, I didn't immediately have sponsorships. So I wasn't immediately being paid. I just wanted to train for the Olympic trials because, as I don't know, I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that there is professional running. So for me, I didn't really realize that. I just thought, oh, look at this, like I could go to the Olympics. That's cool. And so I trained for the trials, and I ended up doing pretty poorly there, but I like improved a lot within a short period of time. Within 6 months, I set a bunch of PRs. So even though I ended up doing really badly at the actual Olympic trials, I was like, okay, you know what? I've gotten so much better. And I know if I can then focus on this for the next 4 years, I might be able to like make a huge impact and really improve and maybe make the team. Um, so and also I think I just discovered that there was such a thing as pro running, which I didn't really realize, like, oh, actually there's like a circuit every single year in Europe and you can run races and
So
get
cool.
sponsorships. So yeah.
Did you have a certain coach that was telling you to run professionally, or did you have to kind of like start reaching out to a coach that could train you? How did that process go when you decided like, okay, I'm going to focus on trying to be a professional runner?
I had an alum of my college, kind of had been a runner. She actually had the mile PR in school before me, and so she was the one that first told me, like, "Hey, Kate, just so you know, there is this thing called pro running. You should keep running." And so she's been a great mentor of mine throughout the years, and is like, her and her husband have kind of guided me through some of that. And then my college coach kind of helped find my next coach. and the next coach was Frank Gagliano, who's this like kind of super old school. I was in the East Coast. So he's this like super old school, like New York, New Jersey guy. Like think of the Godfather. Pretty like thinks kind of thick, like Bronx accent or something. And he, anyway, so that's where I went right after school. And he still texts me before my races and stuff. It's really cute. He's like a grandpa. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's so helpful. So what does your training look like now? I mean, I personally think the 800 and the mile is the hardest two races that you could do, 400 as well. So what does your training look like on a weekly basis?
It's funny with the 8 and the mile because you have the speed training plus the endurance training, right? So I'm training about like 70 miles a week running. And that's broken up normally into like 6 to 7 mile runs. And then every 2 days I'll have a workout. So it's more of like an interval workout. And those are usually like 3 different types. It's usually either tempo stuff, so a little bit slower. Then there's like specific, like kind of reps on a track where you might do like, so VO2 max is more like your 5K pace. So do like kind of 5K pace reps where you have like maybe 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off or whatever. And then you have more of like the speed type training. So you'll do like really fast reps on the track, but then with a longer break. And those are the 3 kinds of workouts. And again, there's like 2 days in between each. And then I'll have like a long run, but my long runs are about 12 to 13 miles, so nothing crazy, but usually those are a little bit more like a little bit of more honest pace than my normal runs. So it might be like in the 6:30s or something, 6:40s for minutes per mile. And that's the running training. And then there's the rest of it. And usually there's other stuff is like strength work, seeing physios, like making sure your bodies are working well or whatever, like doing any mobility work and recovery. And then, I mean, obviously like just good nutrition.
Yeah. So this was a controversial topic, I know previously, I don't know if it still is, but strength training and doing your interval workouts on the same day. Do you do it on the same day or do you break it up?
Same day. And definitely have done it. I've done it all different ways. And I really like same day training. So I'm with a new training group this year and a new coach, Team Boss. It's like a group of athletes based in Boulder, Colorado. And so that's kind of where I've switched now to doing same day. I love it. We do our workout, we eat a protein shake or bar or whatever, go to the gym, get in a quick lift. It's nice because then when you're done with that, it's like, then the easy days really are easy. Before I would do like switched off 1 day intervals, 1 day strength, whatever. And then it's like every day is kind of hard. So you never have a real recovery. And it's just so important to also have those recovery days, right? It's like you go hard and then you rest hard. So yeah, I've really loved this same day. The big thing I think people mess up a little bit is they do too long in the gym. Like they're there for an hour and a half, like doing every single exercise, right? Where you just need to get in and out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So Emma Coburn is the athlete. Her and her husband started the group, and she's so efficient. Like if anything, I was like not good at first, but she gets in and out so fast. I mean, obviously doing everything really well, but there's no need to like waste time. Honestly, most of our gym sessions were done within like 45 minutes.
And do you do less lifts with higher sets, or do you do just more exercises with less sets?
We don't do too many. Well, it depends what you're doing. Any of the like heavy stuff is going to be like 3 by 5, right? I mean, it's like you're not doing many repetitions of any, like we're doing usually heavy stuff is like leg work. So deadlifts, single leg squats, like sliding lunges. Any of that is not going to be it's going to be less repetitions. But then we also will do like core work and kind of like arm stuff and like supplemental muscles, and those things are going to be usually higher reps, like if we're doing like whatever pulls or I don't know what else, like any kind of adductor work or core work, then it's a little bit higher stuff, higher repetitions.
I wanted to ask you that because I know a lot of runners, especially like more distance, they think they need to do just very high reps or no weight or just, straight plyometrics. And you really have to build that strength. And it comes with lifting heavier and doing less reps and stuff like that. So I think, that's kind of shifted. I think more people are realizing that, but it is definitely very common with runners not to do heavy weight when they're lifting, but it is so important.
Oh my God, that's 100%. People, I think that's a huge mistake people make. Yeah. Like that's the way you're going to get a lot of the gains in those like major muscle groups.
Yeah. And do you still take your one rest day a week, or do you not usually do rest days?
I have been doing one like full rest day every like 2 or 3 weeks, but again, I worked up to that. Like I'm in my 30s, and at one point, like when I was younger, I definitely took more, like when I was first starting, I would take more rest days. And honestly, even now, like I'll have at least one day where all I have is like 40 minutes of running, 45 minutes of running easy. And that honestly is more like mentally, like that's just mentally recharging,
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day is like not thinking about running, doing whatever else, resting. So at this point in my career, that feels like a rest day, once a week. And then like once every few weeks, I'll really have totally off.
Yeah. And what does your nutrition look like? I know that's a huge thing, especially when it comes to running, not under eating, obviously. So what does your nutrition look like on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that runners also mess up is not realizing that you need a lot of carbs, again, because we're like such an endurance-based sport that most people, I don't know, if you follow like fad diets, or for people who aren't doing so much activity, you're gonna under fuel yourself. I try to like kind of just generally follow like a good pattern, always have a similar breakfast, like either oats or toast, have some kind of protein shake after my morning workout. And then I honestly at this point have like 4 meals a day. It's like first waking up, you kind of have like a little bit, just like something to get in, like again, oatmeal or toast, and then to go do your workout. And then you have like your breakfast around, which is like eggs and kind of more around like 11. And then I have like a lunch around 2 or 3, and then dinner. And that just, I don't know, is a nice way. I think also with getting enough protein in throughout the day, it's good for me. I like having a few more chances to do it, otherwise it's like you having to eat so much at each meal.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think the big thing is focusing for a female athlete, making sure you're getting enough protein. And for me, that usually means doing a little bit of a shake or something. And also, like not under eating the carbs.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's super important to have that fuel and energy. And a lot of runners want to be a certain weight or think they need to be light on their feet. So they just undereat, and it does not serve you well in the end. So it is super important to mention that. And now going back to the Olympic trials, when you said you didn't do very well, how do you overcome that mental toughness to want to keep going after that? Because you said you've been doing it for a while now. And I know with running, it's hard. When you don't hit a PR, you feel kind of defeated. So what goes through your head mentally just after something like that?
Yeah. So obviously I wanted to make the team, and I won the trials in 2016. So I thought like, I don't know. I definitely was going in. It had been a while away from the 8, but I had high standards for myself, and I ended up really having a not great day on the final and finishing, I think, 7th in the final, which is 1 out of last for that race. Anyway, so was pretty down about it. I think the biggest thing with confidence in running is, again, you have to have this like core confidence that is separate from the performances, right? So this core identity that you realize, like, first of all, as a person, like I am a good person, I have my family, I have my values, those do not change regardless of what happens in any individual performance. So that's key. And then even like your confidence as a runner, like I know I'm a solid athlete. I've proven this to myself in every practice throughout my years of training. And so even as a runner, I know that I am better than any one performance, and that is not going to dictate who I am, or who I am as a runner. And so I've worked on that again throughout the years. You have to put in the effort, right, to prove to yourself. Like every time you do a practice, it's like giving yourself a little bit more of that internal confidence. And so then when bad things happen, it's like, oh shoot, you can be upset about it, but there's this foundation, I can still line up the next time and do better.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Were there any times where you wanted to just quit running completely during your career? Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah.
Probably more than once.
I feel it like way too often. um, um, I mean, I think sometimes it's not even if you're doing poorly, it's almost just like this whole idea of finding the love of the process, which is so cliche, but it is really true, right? Like whether you're doing well or badly, the performance, the race at the end is only going to be like this tiniest percentage. It's one day of the year, one day of 5 years that you have that race, right? So if it's only about that, then it's going to feel unfulfilling because the rest of the time it's like, wait, what am I doing? So I've really had to work on loving the process and like either is it with teammates or people to train with or just like the idea of self-improvement, finding those things that you really enjoy or like whatever the idea of like getting the runner's high, finding those things that you really enjoy every single day helps so much in the longevity of it because then again the races are so fun, they're like the icing on the cake, but you also have you want to show up every single day.
Yeah. So you moved from where? Because you said you just recently moved to Colorado. Where were you before?
I was in Oregon, Portland,
Okay.
Oregon, and I was there because Nike is based there, and so I'm a
Mhm.
Nike athlete, and I was training with the group there, and I'm still a Nike athlete, and but like thankfully I was able to move here because I have a different training group, and that's why I just moved to Colorado.
Do you get to pick your training group or do they kind of invite you and then you kind of figure out, okay, do I want to do this or?
Different people, it works different ways. I've very much like taken control of that aspect of my training, and so I generally any move that I've made for training, I have reached out to the coach and asked if I could join.
Okay, so this is a little bit off topic as far as the training side of it goes, but I want to talk about running shoes because I know that's super important. There's so many to choose from, and people always ask me this. They're like, what's the best kind to get? So what is your opinion on the best running shoe? Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a couple of just very quick questions to answer. So when you're going to train, what's in your gym bag? What do you bring?
Too much. No, I bring always have water and some kind of like usually noon tab or something, and maybe some kind of like little snack or protein bar, a little shaker bottle. I always have wipes, so like I need some kind of like face wipes, and so I can change quickly, otherwise I break out. I generally, what else, obviously a watch, and sunglasses, big sunglass and hat person. I'm always going outside all the time. And sunscreen, all the sun protection. um, and I'm trying to think, and then some kind of like roller balls. I like my little like balls for my feet. Yeah, I usually have like a lacrosse ball and then another small like ball to roll my foot on, and then like a bigger one. And probably also and then some bands.
Okay. Do you have a certain music playlist that you listen to before races?
Yes. I have a playlist that I just made that is honestly so raunchy. Like it's embarrassing. I don't know. Yeah, I will. It's great. It's mostly because I'm like, oh my gosh, like my boyfriend's family follow me on Instagram, like all these people, and it's just like every single song is just like,
oh my God.
just I don't know. I mean, they're just whatever. They're like
So like rap music?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I just like, it's funny because I don't normally listen to that kind of music. Well, I like all kinds, but normally I'm more like happy bopping. But then before races, I love the like real hard energy songs. So
Okay. Do you have a favorite post-race day meal that you go to?
yeah, totally. I mean, I love a good burger. But it's funny because I say that, like, I still eat burgers throughout the year. Like, it's not like I just have them after the race, but generally, after a race, like, just the idea of having some like red meat is always really yummy to me.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to do aside from running, aside from training, working? What do you do? What do you like to do?
uh, I I mean, I love hanging out with my friends. I'm really excited to be in Boulder right now. I love it's funny. We usually like, I don't know, having like group game nights or just like group activities. I also, if I am not very good at it, but I've really enjoyed like getting more like a little bit back into like musical stuff. Like I took up piano again during quarantine and stuff like that. That's like kind of just quiet into yourself and just very much not athletic is also for me like so nice and rejuvenating, I guess.
funny that you say that. I recently started playing guitar for the same reason. I was like, my time is either working or training, and then I don't want to watch TV too much. So what do? You need that creative outlet. So I agree with you. That's helped so much. It makes you just
Oh,
feel
I love it.
better. It's awesome. So what is next for you? What are your plans?
Also, I just finished my season and had a great season. So that's been really fun to just like finish on a high. Got back to the US. So next is moving, getting my furniture in my new place. And next year is the World Championships. So it's kind of like what the Olympics would be, but not an Olympic year. And it's in the US for the first time ever, I think. So that'll be in Oregon in July. So I'm looking forward to competing to try to make that team.
Ooh, that's super exciting. Okay, awesome. Well, where can they find you?
Check me out, mostly Instagram, at Fast Kate. And yeah, I'll be in fall training mode, and I'll be off, like in my off mode for 2 weeks, and then in fall training, and then back to racing next year.
Awesome. Yay. Well, I'm so excited to look forward to what you're going to accomplish. So thank you so much for sitting down with me. I don't want to take too much of your time, get back to moving and everything like that. So I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to talk.
Of course.